Ever wonder what it would be like to have your final moments frozen in time for millions of years? Well, if you take a look at the fossil record, you'll soon come to realize that ancient Earth was basically one giant death trap, and occasionally we get really lucky at finding some absolutely mind-boggling ways that prehistoric creatures met their end. And I mean mind-boggling in the most disturbing way possible, because when you're dealing with 500 million years of history, nature had plenty of time to get creative with the whole death thing. Now, obviously becoming fossilized is extremely rare. We're talking about needing the perfect storm of rapid burial, specific chemistry, and a whole lot of luck. But when it does happen, boy oh boy do we get some incredible windows into ancient worlds that would otherwise be lost forever. And some of these discoveries are so bizarre that they've left paleontologists scratching their heads for decades trying to figure out exactly what the heck happened. Let's start with what's probably the most famous fossil death scene ever discovered: the fighting dinosaurs from Mongolia's Gobi Desert. Picture this. It's 75 million years ago, and you've got a Velociraptor mongoliensis locked in mortal combat with a Protoceratops andrewsi. And I mean literally locked, because the raptor's sickle claw is embedded deep in the plant eater's throat, while the Protoceratops has chomped down so hard on the predator's arm that it actually broke it. Both died right there in that position when a sudden sandstorm buried them alive. And honestly, it's like nature's own action movie freeze frame, except way more brutal. But wait, it gets even more ridiculous, because in 2023, researchers found something that completely flipped everything we thought we knew about prehistoric predator-prey relationships. In China's Yixian formation, they discovered a badger-sized mammal called Repenomammus that was actively attacking a dinosaur 3 times its size when volcanic debris buried them both 125 million years ago. And I'm not talking about scavenging here. This little mammal had its claws wrapped around the dinosaur's head and was going to town on this poor Psittacosaurus when boom, lights out courtesy of Mother Nature. Now, if you think that's wild, Germany's Solnhofen limestone preserved what I can only describe as a prehistoric 3-way death match, where a pterosaur caught a fish, but then got attacked by a larger predatory fish that pierced right through the pterosaur's wing membrane. All 3 died together in this tangled mess when the wounded pterosaur drowned and the big fish suffocated in the oxygen-free water. It's like the world's most depressing game of rock, paper, scissors, except everyone loses. And just to put this into perspective, statistical evidence shows that in Montana's Clovelly Formation, 20% of Tenontosaurus fossils are found with Deinonychus remains nearby. 20%. That's like finding evidence that 1 in 5 people got attacked by velociraptors, which honestly sounds about right for prehistoric times when everything was trying to eat everything else. Now, if individual death scenes are disturbing, mass death events are absolutely terrifying. And perhaps the most dramatic one ever discovered is at the Tanis site in North Dakota. This place preserves animals that were killed within hours, not days, not weeks, but hours of the asteroid impact that wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. We're talking about fish piled on top of each other, mixed with land animals, all buried together with actual glass spheres from the asteroid impact scattered throughout. It's basically a geological crime scene from the day the world ended. But asteroids aren't the only things that can create mass graveyards. Nebraska's Ashfall fossil beds document what happened when the Yellowstone supervolcano erupted 1193 million years ago and sent volcanic ash nearly 1,000 miles eastward. Over 200 complete skeletons show that these animals didn't die quickly. Oh no, they died slowly from lung disease as the ash basically turned their lungs into cement. Birds died first because they have the most efficient respiratory systems, then small mammals, and finally the big guys like rhinos and horses. Some of the pregnant animals even died with their babies still preserved inside them, which is just heartbreaking. And then there's South Africa's Karoo Basin, which preserved what might be the most depressing extinction event ever, the Permian Triassic extinction that killed 96% of all marine life. The Fossils show a three-phase die-off over 120,000 years, where small plant-eaters died first as water sources dried up, then larger browsers got trapped near increasingly rare water holes, and finally everything else just gave up. It's like watching the world slowly suffocate over geological time. Oh, and speaking of traps, let's talk about La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles. This place was basically a prehistoric death factory where herbivores would get stuck in natural asphalt, which would then attract carnivores who'd think, hey, free lunch, only to get stuck themselves. The result: fossil deposits where 90% of the mammal remains are predators and scavengers, which is the complete opposite of a normal ecosystem. Recent studies show these poor animals could survive 17-20 weeks after getting trapped. So we're talking about months of slow death by starvation. Not exactly a pleasant way to go. Now here's where things get really science-y, but also kind of fascinating in a morbid way. Recent discoveries have completely revolutionized how we understand fossil preservation, and it turns out the chemistry is way more complex than anyone thought. Basically, when an animal dies, iron from decomposing blood creates these hydroxyl radicals that cross-link proteins together, creating molecular networks that can survive for millions of years. It's like nature's own version of embalming fluid, except it happens accidentally and preserves things in incredible detail. Solnhofen limestone, where we get those amazing Archaeopteryx fossils formed in calm lagoon waters that were probably toxic enough to kill anything that fell in. The fine-grained sediment and lack of oxygen meant that even jellyfish and dragonfly wings got preserved perfectly, down to individual feathers and cellular details that still blow scientists' minds today. And then there's Germany's Messel Pit, which was basically a death lake 47 million years ago. This crater lake had toxic bottom waters that would periodically release poisonous gases, causing mass die-offs that got preserved in layers only 0.1 millimeter thick. The preservation is so good that we have complete mammalian skeletons with fur, skin, stomach contents, and even cellular-level details preserved in oil shale. But if you really want to talk about perfect preservation, amber is where it's at. We're talking about entire ecosystems frozen mid-action, predator-prey relationships, mating behaviors, parental care, all captured in three-dimensional detail that looks like it happened yesterday instead of 99 million years ago. Baltic amber alone contains over 3,500 different arthropod species, which is just insane when you think about it. Here's something that'll really mess with your head. Prehistoric animals suffered from basically the same diseases we do today. The first confirmed dinosaur cancer was found in a Centrosaurus fibula from Alberta, and high-resolution CT scans showed that this poor plant-eater had advanced osteosarcoma spreading through its leg bone 75 million years ago. The scary part: the cancer was so advanced that this dinosaur had been living with it for a considerable time, probably protected by its herd because it couldn't keep up anymore. But wait, it gets worse. In 2018, researchers found actual parasites preserved in dinosaur bone, not amber, not coprolites, but inside the bone itself. A Brazilian titanosaur's leg bone contains over 70 blood parasite fossils preserved in the vascular channels, which raises the terrifying question of whether the parasites caused the bone infection or just took advantage of an existing wound. And speaking of gross things preserved in stone, coprolites, which is the fancy scientific term for fossilized poop, reveal some absolutely disturbing dietary relationships. A 200-million-year-old crocodile relative's coprolite from Thailand contains 6 different parasite species, while ichthyosaur coprolites first studied by Mary Anning show evidence of cannibalistic feeding, where these marine reptiles were eating smaller members of their own species. Lovely. Oh, and here's something that's puzzled scientists for decades. That classic death pose you see in so many dinosaur skeletons where the head is thrown back, tail extended, mouth open. For years, people thought this meant something specific about how they died, but recent experiments using chicken carcasses showed that it's probably just what happens when flexible necks contract after death. So basically, it doesn't mean they died in agony. Their necks just naturally bend backward when the ligaments dry out, which is somehow both reassuring and disturbing at the same time. The last few years have been absolutely crazy for fossil research, thanks to new technology that's basically turning paleontology into CSI Prehistoric edition. UV fluorescence can now reveal soft tissues that are completely invisible under normal light, while CT scanning lets us see inside fossils without damaging them, and artificial intelligence can process scans 100 times faster than humans. Just this past September, researchers finally solved a 150 million year mystery about baby pterosaurs in Germany's Solnhofen deposits. Using advanced imaging, they discovered that two baby pterodactylus fossils, nicknamed Lucky and Lucky 2, had broken wing bones from violent twisting forces, proving they died in powerful storms. The same storms that killed them created the perfect burial conditions, which explains why their preservation is so incredible. And the chemical analysis capabilities we have now are just mind-blowing. Scientists can detect mercury signatures that reveal ancient food webs, sequence 20-million-year-old proteins from rhino teeth, and analyze isotopes that reconstruct exactly what an animal was eating at the moment of death. We're literally doing forensic analysis on crimes that happened millions of years ago. For years, scientists thought China's Yixian formation was like a Chinese Pompeii, where volcanic eruptions instantly killed and preserved entire ecosystems. But 2024 studies using super precise dating techniques revealed something much weirder. The deposits actually represent 93,000 years of animals dying peacefully in burrows and seasonal floods, not dramatic volcanic death scenes. So much for the Pompeii theory, although the preservation is still absolutely incredible. But don't worry, we still have plenty of genuine volcanic catastrophes preserved in the fossil record. The Jehol biota shows evidence of explosive eruptions that created massive mud flows, transporting land animals into lake environments where they got buried so quickly that soft tissues mineralized before they could decay. And then there's the Burgess Shale from 508 million years ago, which preserved entire communities that got wiped out by underwater landslides. Multiple catastrophic burial events in oxygen-free conditions allowed clay minerals to prevent bacterial decay, giving us over 60,000 specimens representing 500+ species with three-dimensional soft tissue detail that shows us what the Cambrian explosion actually looked like. Recent parasite research has exploded with discoveries showing that disease relationships have basically stayed the same for hundreds of millions of years. Brazilian sauropod sites preserve evidence of infectious disease outbreaks where multiple individuals show bone infections that never healed, suggesting these 80-million-year-old wetlands were perfect breeding grounds for pathogens, kind of like prehistoric disease factories. But perhaps the coolest discovery is trace fossils that document the world's first evolutionary arms race. In 517-million-year-old rocks from Australia, Lapworthella shells show increasing thickness over time in response to hole-punching predators. We're literally watching predator and prey co-evolve in the fossil record, with the prey getting better armor while the predators presumably developed better drilling equipment. It's like prehistoric warfare documented in stone. The study of bizarre fossil deaths has gone from curiosity-driven discovery to sophisticated forensic science that employs cutting-edge technology most crime labs would be jealous of. These investigations reveal that prehistoric death was every bit as violent, mysterious, and varied as anything in the modern world, except with way more teeth and significantly fewer safety regulations. Modern advances in imaging, chemical analysis, and artificial intelligence continue to unlock secrets from specimens that have been sitting in museum drawers for decades while guiding new discoveries at sites worldwide. Each perfectly preserved death scene represents that rare convergence of catastrophe and chemistry that creates windows into vanished worlds, reminding us that the story of life is ultimately inseparable from the story of death. And honestly, after looking at all these ancient death scenes, maybe we should be grateful that today's world is relatively tame. I mean, sure, we've got our problems, but at least we don't have to worry about getting buried alive by volcanic ash, or having our final moments preserved for future civilizations to gawk at millions of years from now. Although, come to think of it, with all the cameras everywhere these days, maybe we're not so different after all. Thanks for watching, and until next time on Dead Curious.